This topic is actually masculinity. I have already talked about it.
Yes.
So, what happens is 3, 4 years ago, masculinity was in fashion. Everybody was talking about all the places. If you see, a lot of people say, I'm masculine. So, what does it mean? I also wanted to know what is the meaning of it. So, one day, sitting on a table and with a pen and diary, I was thinking about it. What does masculinity mean? So, I come up with some ideas that actually tries to embody all that masculinity can be. And all that ideas that I thought about, I put it into a, you can say, a poem that will summarize all the ideas that I think about what masculinity is. So it starts from understanding the real meaning of masculinity. So masculinity is not about abusing somebody on face. It's not about looking at women and commenting them. It's not even about taking a gun and shooting somebody or intimidating somebody. It's something different. I went into history. I read everything that I could about all the powerful people who were real masculine. And then I came out with some points that I'm going to discuss here. So the first point I wrote was masculinity means standing against the evil and becoming the voice of those whose rights are trampled upon, who are exploited, underprivileged, and who can't be heard. Did you understand the meaning of this? Masculinity about simply becoming so powerful that you can become the voice of somebody who are weak, who are exploited, whose rights are trampled upon, who cannot be heard, who are just sitting at the bottom of a society. Nobody is there to help them. They're very helpless. They're not only poor, but they are so weak that they cannot fight. Even if they scream, nobody's gonna hear them. So masculinity or masculine, when you have the power to stand against the wrongs that are happening with them. See what Bhagat Singh did. In our country, the Britishers were exploiting our countrymen every time, every minute. Somebody would be killed, somebody would be beaten brutally, somebody would seize your property, and you have to face many problems. So now, the real masculine of that time, people like Bhagat Singh and all other freedom fighters who saw that, they stood against that. The exploitation that was happening, the exploitation that was happening unnecessarily. And people do not have the power, not have the voice to stand against that and speak against that. So these people stood in the favor of the weak and then just stand with them and work for their welfare, spoke in their favor, and help them get justice that time. However, the justice was not given at that moment. They have to fight a lot, but then they kept fighting. So are you somebody, the question is, if you say you are masculine, are you somebody who when see something wrong happening around you, speak against that? Or do you go into the favor of somebody who's very powerful and also try to exploit the poor? Or are you somebody who has the power to speak against the rich, the wealthy, the most powerful, the politicians? Do you have that power? Even today, if you see a lot of powerful people are there, but they would seek favor from politicians, from the center, from the people who are in power. But are you somebody who, when you see that some injustice is happening, being done to somebody, can you speak against that? If you can speak against that, you're real masculine. If you can't, sorry, you are not. Because it's not about being in the favor of powerful. It's about looking who is sitting at the bottom, who is being exploited, who is being used, who is being beaten, who is being looted, and then we're not only working but also speaking for them, for their sake. So the next point about masculinity is that I wrote, masculinity means killing and being killed for saving the dignity of a woman and not being the part of the perpetrators. Masculinity means becoming ruthlessly brutal, but then using your strength for the creation and not for the devastation. So the first point where I'm talking about that masculinity means killing and being killed for saving the dignity of a woman. Here I'm talking about what does it mean by power? What does it mean by masculine? A lot of people, if you see, they are here to comment on women uselessly. They think they are smart. They are being masculine. If they abuse somebody wrongly, they think they're masculine. But history is filled with the proofs that in the past, all the people who did something wrong with the women were killed brutally. You can see Mahabharata and Ramayana. These are all filled with the examples of what happens to those who are the perpetrators of women, who does something wrong to them. So I here wrote that masculinity is about standing, and not only standing but killing and sometimes being killed for the sake of saving the dignity of women and not being the part of the perpetrators that most people are. You see, women being raped everywhere. These are done by the people who are very weak, who do not have self-respect, who talk about their masculinity, but they're not masculine actually. They do not understand what is the meaning of masculine. Being a man, being masculine means you are protector. You are the provider. You're the protector. You are somebody who's going to take care of the weak, the women, and the children. And if you're not standing on this term, you're nobody. You're just a useless and nothing else. So I wrote this point because I read the history, I read the Mahabharata, and then Ramayana, and all the other things that happened in the past. All the wars, if you see, it happened because somebody did something wrong to the women. And then somebody who were real masculine came in the support and then destroyed the person, the perpetrators. So if you want to say you're masculine, learn to respect women, first of all. Give them respect. If you're abusing somebody uselessly, if you're commenting on them, you are not men. You're not being men. So you have to understand this second point. The third point is that I wrote, masculinity means becoming ruthlessly brutal, using your strength for the creation and not for the devastation. Means a lot of people think they are weak, they don't have money, they don't have power, and then they think they are very great because they are uselessly devoting, worshipping God and all that. Worshipping God, being poor, and talking about honesty and kindness will not work. The world belongs to those who are very powerful. You cannot help somebody if you don't have money. You cannot help somebody if you don't have power. So the only way you can help somebody and bring some value to the people and the world is by becoming ruthlessly powerful, brutally powerful. You are so powerful that people scares out of you. See what happens. I would again give you the example of Mahabharata. Krishna was so powerful, he could destroy anybody. So the opponent has no option but to listen to them. The opponent, there is a quote I read somewhere that if you want peace, you have to ready for war. If you're not ready for war, if you're not prepared for war, if you don't have the potential inside you to destroy somebody, you cannot talk about peace. Peace belongs to those who have power. Once you have infinite power, anybody who wants to deal with you has to be polite, has to come to you with their folded hands. So first, earn so much power, become wealthy, earn so much power that nobody can avoid, nobody can ignore what you say. And then the next point is work for the creation and not for the devastation. Hitler was so powerful, but he worked for the devastation. He uselessly killed a lot of people. More than 50 lakh people perhaps he killed. As far as I can say, I'm not sure about it. He would have killed more than that amount of people. He killed more than 50 lakh people. So you can understand, he has a lot of power. A lot of people had a lot of power in the past, but then they used it not for the sake of creation, but for the sake of devastation. And they were themselves destroyed. So real masculinity is not somebody who's weak, who's talking about honesty, who's talking about kindness, who's talking about peace, but somebody who has all power, who are ruthless. But then this person is using his power for bringing peace, for bringing order. But only when you have the power, you can bring peace. Keep in your mind, if you want to bring peace into the world, if you want to talk about that, And if you're weak, nobody's going to listen to you. So first become powerful, and then every word you say is going to be followed by other people. So this was the third point, that become ruthlessly powerful and brutal. There is no doubt about it. But then use your power for the sake of creation and not for the devastation. Next point that I wrote about masculinity was the fourth point, perhaps. Masculinity means fighting like a warrior at the face of annihilation, beheaded, and his head is lying down on the surface, yet his body is fighting for the cause. Masculinity means becoming like a warrior who is fighting. You would have heard or you would have read about the warriors in the history. When there was war, they would fight until they're alive. And in some instances, their head was beheaded. The head is lying down on the surface, but still their body is fighting. Fighting for the cause, fighting for the purpose. What do you think about the people who sacrifice their life for our country? These people sacrifice their family, sacrifice their life, everything for the sake of peace, for the sake of order, and for the sake of stability in our country. Isn't it? If you see, history is actually filled with these instances. If you see. So it's about becoming a warrior. A warrior is a person who fights, who never gives up fighting. It does not matter whether you win or lose. A fighter is not somebody who wins all the time. Forget about it. So in today's time, you don't have to fight a war against somebody, but you have to become somebody who does not give up at the face of small challenges, problems, opponents. But you have to become somebody who has the power, who is a warrior, who can stand, who can confront the pain, who can bear the pain, who can take the responsibility, and who can do greater things for the world. So you have to become a warrior. Always, whenever I'm facing low moment in my life, what happens is I ask myself who I am. Am I a warrior or not? Means warrior does not mean you're going to win all the time. They lose a lot. You would have heard about Maharana Pratap. He fought many wars. He lost, but again he prepared, and again he tried, and again he tried. So when in life you are doing something and you're losing, failing, don't worry. Keep on doing. Your work is to be in the arena and keep fighting until your last breath. There is no other option you have. The next point that I wrote is masculinity means sacrificing all materialistic things, all possession, loved ones, and even the world for the truth. Isn't this happens with the people who work for the peace, who work for the betterment, who work for the good in the world? They have to lose their life, their family, all the materialistic possession they have, all the things that they have earned. Because if you're fighting for peace, if you're fighting for truth, you might have to lose everything and you cannot do anything about it. But then, if you want it, if you're a masculine, you would do it. Despite that, despite you know that you're going to lose, you have to face problems. The next point about masculinity was masculinity means responding calmly and conscientiously to whatever comes, taking complete accountability of everything and not complaining, crying, and whining, confronting problems like a mountain confronts the storm. This is the most beautiful point, actually. It is saying that whenever trouble comes, if you're a leader, if you're a warrior, you're not going to whine and you're not going to blame your parents, father, your luck, God, or your country, or your government, but you are just fighting. You're confronting the problems like the mountain confronts the storm. It is standing in the storm. It's not trying to hide, but still confronting. Because, see, you have no option but to confront the problems, the chaos, the storms that is going to come in your life. So when the problem comes, rather than blaming, rather than crying, rather than screaming, these are the work of a weak person, a person who's not masculine. A person who's masculine knows the problem are going to come. These are the part of whatever you want to do. If you're going to do something new, the problems are going to come. But you have to respond it calmly, conscientiously. You have to see what you can do in the mid of the chaos. Problems are going to come. You have to face failures. As I I've already talked about Elon Musk. He faced three failures when he was experimenting for a SpaceX, and he lost actually everything, all the money, all the resources, but then he kept trying. He responded very calmly to the problem. What happens when somebody teases you? You start abusing, you start having an argument. But no, a masculine is somebody who is very calm, who's very conscientious, who understand things, who takes the right decisions, who takes decision not on the basis of what their emotion is saying, but what logic is saying. You have to be logical. You have to understand. You have to work according to the law of nature, and that's when you win. The next point was masculinity means becoming extraordinarily articulate and transforming the lives of the people with the beautiful words and making world a better place to live in by trying to win them by winning their hearts and not by sword beheading their heads. This was also a good point actually. Masculinity means becoming extraordinarily articulate. Articulate means what? It's about being a good communicator. You have to communicate in a way that you can convince people. You can tell people the purpose, your vision, and whatever you want to achieve, you have to be able to articulate it to other people so that they can understand and they can come with you. What Buddha did, what Gandhi did. Buddha bring crores of people together in that time when there was no internet, when there was no resources. Think about Gandhi. This person brings 50 crore people together to fight against the British rule with the power of his communication, with the power of his articulation. Communication is not about the words that you say. It's not about the language you speak. It's about the emotion that you convey. It's about the energy that you transfer into other people. It's about the vision ideas that you have that you transfer to other people and make them feel the same way you feel about the idea. And if you're not extraordinarily articulate, how are you going to convince them about the idea that you have of whatever you want to bring and whatever you want to make? So you have to understand that becoming articulate is not only going to change your life, but it is going to change everything in the world. So make yourself articulate, make yourself a good communicator so that you can change people's lives through good words and not forcefully trying to behead them and trying to intimidate them, threat them. You have to change them in a way that you can touch their heart and not behead them. Did you understand that? And only then, when we become a good communicator and we try to talk to people and understand them and do not try to force our opinion on somebody else, the world is going to be peaceful. All the problem lies in the world is because of this. One person wants to impose his idea, one religion wants to impose his ideas to other religion, other people. And that's why all the conflict happens. All the conflicts, if you see, from one person to another, from one country to another, from one religion to another. This problem arises because everybody wants to impose their own opinion, their own thoughts, their own behaviors, their own rituals on other people. And that's why all the problem is there in the world. If you start accepting everybody, if you become like Buddha, if you become like Prophet, if you become like Vivekananda, there will be no conflict. Why? Because these people never forced anybody with anything. Whatever you want to believe, believe. Whatever you want to do, do. They would just give you a vision to make this world a better place so that all the human beings, and not only human beings, but all the animals also, could live with peace, with stability, without any fear. So make yourself articulate. That is your task first. If you want to rule the people, try to rule the people by ruling their heart. The time you touch their heart, the time you use the right words, they are going to follow you. They're going to chase after you. Encourage them, not discourage them. Give them a power. Make them feel that they are powerful. Don't try to impose them with anything. Just let them do whatever you want. You have some vision, you just tell them in a manner that they can understand why you say something that you say. Isn't it? The next point that I wrote is masculinity means thinking the unimagined, exploring the unexplored, doing the incredibles, and achieving the impossible. Means masculinity is not about doing something that everybody is doing, building something that has already been built. It's about coming out with a vision so beautiful that nobody else can imagine, nobody else can think of, nobody else can even envision, and then bringing that vision a reality. Isn't all the change that you see in the world today, this bulb, the fan, everything, this room, that camera, everything that you see today is the result of somebody's vision. Somebody envisioned it in the past and it was so beautiful. People doubted, but they believed it, they worked on it, and they brought it a reality. So that's what you should do. When you want to do something, think about something that nobody's done. Come out with a solution of a problem. Only then we can make this world a better place. And masculinity can have more meanings than what I have here talked about. You can think from yourself also. What are the things that makes me a masculine? Not something that disempowers anybody, that troubles anybody, but what is something that can give everybody power, encourage them, empower the world, make this world a better place to live in. Also gives other individual to get ahead. Think about those ideas, and that is what masculinity means according to me. And if everybody lives up to this definition of masculinity, the world will be very peaceful. Everything that we see in this world, all the conflicts will be finished. So this is all about masculinity that I've talked about. Got it?